NFL fans. Today is Friday, December 12th. You have 12 shopping days until Christmas. This is the Shutdown Corner Podcast. I'm Kevin Kaduk, here with Frank Schwab and Jay Busbee. Fellas, it's a football week. We are headed into week 15 of the NFL schedule. 3 more weeks to go. But it's also the week of the winter meetings, baseball's winter meetings. Everyone getting together, a lot of stuff going on. Chicago becoming the epicenter of the baseball world again. The Dodgers retooling their lineup. Rumors flying hot and heavy. Things breaking at all hours of the day. My question to you is this, Frank. Would you like a winter meetings in terms of the NFL? And obviously it wouldn't be the winter meetings because there's a season going on in the winter, but let's say everyone getting together the first week of March, all the NFL, everyone together, this big convention, and everyone gets together and we see what happens.
Well, it kind of happens with the combine. I mean, that's everybody. I don't know if everybody realizes this because everybody thinks of the combine as just teams going to watch college players run 40s, but that's where a lot of the backroom deals happen, especially because it's like 2 weeks before free agency usually. And trust me, just about every free agent knows exactly where they're going after the combine. You'll have agents just tell you, oh, yeah, this guy's going to sign there. And then 2 weeks later it happens. Okay. Yeah,
but wouldn't it be better if that stuff was actually happening when everyone was there and everything was kind of coming out and being shook up? I would enjoy that more.
It'd be a little more interesting. I think it's just another way the NFL just stretches out the calendar. They don't have everything happen in a week like baseball did this week.
It's been a year. It's been a year since the dog did it.
I know he's got his input. Nice. Now I was going to say trades are so hard to do in the NFL, but what I would love to see is a winter meeting where it happens like this, where you've got all these deals flying back and forth for the simple reason that Dan Snyder would get completely fleeced every year. He would come away trading for the same exact player 3 years in a row, and that same player would be on injured reserve, and it would be perfect.
Well, let's say this. A serious question. Is baseball's winter meetings, like when it's really hot and heavy like this year with this week, is that more exciting than the first 3 days of free agency in the NFL? Because baseball and football are totally different with free agency. I'm going to go off on my tangent there in a minute, but what's more exciting, like winter meetings this week or like those first 3 days of free agency where literally like last year, there were like 22 guys signed in the first half hour or something like that?
Yeah. But like you said, it's a sort of thing that there's a release of the floodgates because all that stuff has been leading up and negotiated under the table for the 2 or 3 months prior. So I would actually say get everyone together. You've got the talking heads there in the lobby of whatever resort you have it at. So you have all the team beat reporters there. You have the national reporters there. I think the winter meetings are a little bit more exciting, at least this year and with baseball, because there are so many different things happening and so many things out of left field. I don't know if you got more people in the same place and you kind of had a little more intrigue, a little bit more backroom dealing, and you always hear at the baseball winter meetings, the mystery owners are in town and the agents use this and that to kind of get more money and cause drama. So I say the winter meetings are still better than those first 1 or 2 days because you kind of have an idea of where things are going when the NFL free agency opens up.
Yeah, you put everybody in the same room or in the same hotel, and there's that natural tendency to wonder what's going on behind that room where the cigar smoke is leaking out. You've got the agents who are just unscrupulous as hell saying, we got a hell of an offer right down there by the pool. You want to step it up?
I really do. I mean, need to say that the combine is like this. It is. It's not, things can't officially happen, but that is what the combine is like. It also, coincidence of all coincidences, the NFLPA has their agents meet. Every single certified agent has to be in Indianapolis that week. Yeah. And I mean, that's just kind of a nod, wink, wink thing.
Did they plan that, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just everybody wants, literally everybody who's anybody in the NFL is there those 5 days or whatever it is. And the college deal is just part of what they're doing. I mean, they can get a 40 time from anywhere. They can send out their area scout to go get a 40 time. They're talking to agents. They're talking to other GMs. Yeah, I mean, if trades ever happen in the NFL, But it's really the combine is like that. It just doesn't happen officially.
Maybe the answer is that the NFL needs to make the combine just more than about those drills and do a better job of marketing it. I can't believe I'm actually saying that the NFL needs to do a better job of marketing, but maybe they need to.
We got a lot of NFL news out of the combine, though. Like last year when me and Eric at home went. Eric handled the college stuff, and I handled the NFL stuff. And trust me, both of us were really busy. Like, I mean, there were, it's
a lot of stuff.
Lovey Smith saying Mike Glennon's not my guy, or Joe Philbin saying I screwed up the bullying scandal, or this guy, the Titans saying, yeah, we're moving on from Chris Johnson.
The great thing about the combine is you have all those head coach press conferences, and it's like the first time you've had a lot of them since. For most people, the last loss of the season or the last game of the season, whatever it was. And so things have kind of changed. Then you also throw in the national media who really don't care and are not really going to kind of ask the suck-up questions of the... So you have people just asking, like, DGAF, questions. That's what I like about the combine.
It's a really weird scene. The whole it's like there's a lot going on at the combine's an interesting place, and it's I covered it. When I covered the Broncos, I covered one team, which stunk because they were really really paranoid. The Denver Broncos and Mike Shanahan's Denver Broncos, but covering it as a national presence, I guess. It could cover everything and every guy. It was really interesting. It was kind of fun because there's just literally every team is there, every coach is there, every GM is there, a lot of owners are there, every agent is there, all the college prospects are there. There's just a lot going on those few days, but you're right. It doesn't have the pop of the winter meetings just because there's nothing, stuff that happens. Even like, for example, when the Titans said we're going to cut Chris Johnson, basically said we're going to cut Chris Johnson. They didn't technically cut him that day. It was just, this is what we're going to do. And then we speculated about it for 3 weeks and it happened. So, the winter meetings are different in that, stuff is literally happening at that hotel where they have the winter meetings. It's a little different, but the combine is still, I believe, kind of the baseball, what the NFL's equivalent to the baseball winter meetings.
Yeah. Now, you made the allusion to it a little earlier. Trades just don't happen in the NFL. And that's just, for any number of reasons. Don't you wish there were more trades in the NFL? And I'm not talking about player for picks and a third-round pick and who knows what they're going to turn out. Man just for man, receiver for receiver.
Exactly. Trading up laundry right there in the middle of the field between
guys. You think about like in baseball when they just do the challenge trades. Like here's a guy who sucks in City A and here's a guy who sucks in City B and let's trade each other and see who comes out better, right?
About the only time that happens in the NFL is where you have two just horribly disappointing draft picks and they get traded for each other so that team can cut them. Because these teams think it saves them some embarrassment, like when the 49ers sent A.J. Jenkins to the Chiefs for... I can't even remember who the Chiefs sent back, but it was one of their busts. So it's almost like, nobody's going to notice if the Chiefs cut A.J. Jenkins. Yeah, no, we're going to notice. It's going to happen. But yes, could we get like a Drew Brees for J.J. Watt trade or something like that? Yeah, that just never happens. Well, it's always for picks.
Yeah, put a thumbnail on it. Obviously, it's usually for picks or it's a guy at the end of his contract and that kind of thing. But give us a thumbnail reason why. Is it just the length of careers? Is it potential? Go ahead.
I think it's that. I think it's and the NFL is a conservative league. It always has been. It's a very, very conservative league. It doesn't kind of have that rep, but it is. Nothing changes in the NFL. People don't like to step out on limbs in the NFL. I mean, that's why everybody runs the same offense.
People don't like to climb the damn tree in the NFL.
And, it's such big news when, teams switch from a 4-3 to a 3-4. Like, they're reinventing the wheel. Okay, you're just putting an extra linebacker on the field. But that's because the NFL is so ridiculously conservative, and they don't want to make mistakes. But I think about, the Trent Richardson trade last year. That was awesome. it was really, really interesting. It's interesting to this day because Trent hasn't done much. If he would have done a lot, it would have been interesting. And I wish we had more. I wish we had more trades. I wish we had more player for player trades. But I think it's just, you don't have very long contracts or very long careers, and you just don't want to. It's just not the way the NFL works. I don't know. I think there's some value in it. If you're really stocked at corner, why wouldn't you trade for a receiver? But even the trading deadline every year, it stinks. It's boring. Oh wow, some defensive tackle got traded for a 5th-round pick. Nobody really cares. It's not like the baseball trading deadline where we all get pretty into that day. It'd be so much more fun if the NFL operated that way.
The NBA is even better. The NBA trading deadline, it's like a fantasy football deal where you've got players going all over the place, just constantly.
Hockey too. Hockey. there's always 7, 8, 9, 10 deals on NHL trading deadline day. Even if they're not major deals, there are a couple, but there's always somebody trading spots. And I don't know why the NFL doesn't do it. I just can't. It just doesn't. It's just not the way they operate. They don't like trading. And so part of it's the salary cap. I mean, if you got a hard salary cap like the NFL does, it's just harder to trade guys. You got to fit them under. There's no exceptions. There's no, not like baseball where you never have to worry about the salary cap. You got to fit these guys under. You got to the acceleration of signing bonuses and stuff like that makes it logistically tough sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it would be a lot more fun. You think, with every team trying to gain an edge, you think somebody would kind of maybe step out of the line and try to become the Tampa Bay Rays or whoever, Oakland A's of football. That just, you're right, it just does not happen.
And this is more for in-season trades than off-season because this doesn't apply as much. But in-season trades, it's just tough because baseball, you could trade a guy from the Tampa Bay Rays to the Dodgers, and he could play the next day and swing the bat and be fine. Mm-hmm. If you trade a quarterback from the Cardinals to the Jets, he's going to need 3 months to figure out your offense. It's just hard. I mean, maybe a running back, a cornerback can kind of figure out what he's got to do. I mean, stuff like that. But it's more of a team sport than baseball's an individual sport. I mean, nobody likes to talk about that, but it's an individual sport played within the concept of 25 guys as a team. But it's really you're just on your own. I mean, a pitcher. I mean, it doesn't. Madison Bumgarner's going to pitch the same whether he likes, McCain or not. I mean, the NFL's a little different that you need your team, so that holds it up too, especially with in-season trades.
You've also got the baseball season is literally 10 times larger sample size than the NFL. Right. You don't have a whole lot of room to go and have one trade go awry for 2 or 3 games.
And you know what? NFL
doesn't take any time at all.
NFL teams just don't like making mistakes. They're so averse to risk. I mean, we saw it last night, and we saw it this past weekend. It's kind of a tangent, but it speaks to the larger picture. We saw, Mike McCoy punt from midfield down and 4th and 4, 6 minutes left when he's down 9 points. And why does he do that? It makes no sense. It's because he doesn't want to get criticized. He doesn't want to go for it and face the heat. Jeff Fisher last night, from the 2-yard line, he kicks a field goal instead of going for a touchdown. Why does he do that? Well, because if you don't make it and the game's over, you're going to get criticized. And the same thing with trades. Teams don't want to get ripped for trading a first-round pick for Trent Richardson. Everybody's going to be like, I want to be the Colts. Don't want to get ripped for trading a first for damaged goods and Trent Richardson. That's another reason. Just again, it's a conservative league. Nobody wants to be called out for their mistakes.
Is there anybody this side of Belichick though that could buck that trend? We've seen the numbers that it's better to go for it on 4th down a lot more than coaches do. Is there anybody that, obviously Fisher couldn't. He lost his spine last night. Belichick could do whatever he wants. He could punt on 2nd down and they'd call him a genius. But anybody this side of him could do it, you think?
I think Chip Kelly, just because everybody would say he's an innovator. He's crazy. He's nuts. Even Chip Kelly the other day, they were down 10 and he punted from his own 16 down. I mean, it was like 4 minutes left. Like, why? You're just giving up the game at that point. Like, who cares if you lose by that's the thing. Coaches don't want to lose by 20 points. They want to lose by 7. It goes on their resume if they lose by 20. And they don't want to they want to keep it close. Let's be honest. That's why else would you punt in a situation where when you punt you give away the game? It's just you want to keep it close to make it look a little better.
You think it goes on their resume? I've never seen someone get fired and then be like, they lost this game by 28 points and this game by 23. Like, I've never seen that.
I mean, our alma mater just lost a game 59-zip, and that happened to matter for the coach, I think. I mean, people brought that up a few times when he
59-0's a little different.
A little different, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I mean, nobody would have brought up, oh my God, he lost 14-7 to Ohio State. When he left, everybody brought up he lost 59-zip to Ohio State. I mean, it's just I don't know, but this is the way coaches, and also coaches do things because that's the way things have been done since 1950, and just because George Halas would have punted on 4th down from midfield. Well, we know a little bit more now. Our advanced stats are a little bit better. We can figure out expected win rate and stuff like that during games, that going for it here, kicking a field goal there is the wrong decision. But, hey, we've done this since 1950, and if it's good enough for Vince Lombardi, it's good enough for me.
That vanguard and then those people that were following were people who, put in the forward pass when no one would ever think to do that, right? So it's like these people that are actually following were actually sort of innovative.
And another thing, and I've talked about this a lot, but these coaches, if you've been around these coaches, they work these 90-hour weeks, and they really do. They're there 16, 18 hours, and they put in so much work on the minutia of if it's 3rd and 7, they're going to run cover 2, and we're going to run this play to beat the cover 2, and that's what they think about all week. And none of these guys take 5 minutes to think about, how do I properly use my timeouts at the end of a game? Or can I kneel on the ball and kill the clock? Like on Monday night, Mike McCarthy's running plays, and I'm sitting there at home, and I'm not a very smart guy, but I can figure out the math and figure out each play is adding up to the fact that he can just kneel on the ball. And he's running plays, and it didn't end up in a disaster. But what if they fumble? Like, he just, in the moment, he has no idea if he could use his timeouts or if he can kneel on the ball or not, because these guys don't think about that ever during the week. They're so caught up with the very fine minutia of NFL X's and O's that they don't ever think about just game management, which surprise. Like Mike McCoy, who I bring up again because he punted against the Patriots, he is a genius at X's and O's. I think we all know that. He's a very, very smart guy, and he knows everything about X's and O's, but punting from midfield just cost your team a game. Like, that's something that should be on your plate during the week to figure out game management.
Well, I think we can all agree that there's probably a law of diminishing returns when these guys talk about being in their offices 25 hours a day.
I agree.
Anyhow.
Okay, by the way, it's something I want to bring up with the Vooner meetings and stuff. I don't know if we talked about it here, but it fascinates me to no end. You ran Big League Stu forever. Why is baseball free agency so much different than football free agency? I just don't get it. I've never wrapped my head around the fact that football free agency, it is like, Black Friday when the doors open, those guys are just bursting into the department store at full sprint to go get the latest toy. And in baseball, it's like, oh, wow, free agency started a month ago and nobody is signed. Well, I don't see why.
Well, but I think we already talked about this. You say people are already kind of negotiating the deals and know where they're going on the combine, but there's actually an artificial date that the NFL sets, so it opens the floodgates. Baseball does have that. It opens up almost, 1 or 2 weeks after the World Series. Sure. There's a lot of market setting going on.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
No middle of the road pitcher is going to sign before Max Scherzer or John Lester sets the thing.
So is it the players? Is it the players holding the players and the agents holding that up?
It's
they don't want, or the teams don't want to set the market.
Yeah, like they don't want to see who's going to get that $150 million contract, and then they could say, well, all right, I'm 70% as good as him, so I want 100.
And there's also not a artificial cap of dollars to be like competed over, right? I mean, if the Cubs are sitting there, and they've done this in the past under Jim Hendry, and they went against a target, and they had $60 million to spend. Well, once they missed that target, then Hendry would turn around and hand that $60 million to whoever, even if they didn't deserve it, right? So I think a lot of that has to do with baseball. So you have the agents and the players slow playing things and just waiting for stuff to trickle down.
So, like, if let's say the Dodgers just said at the beginning of free agency, we're going to go, we need bullpen help and we need another starting pitcher, and we are going to go get John Lester, David Robertson. If they just said, okay, John Lester, we're giving you $160 million, and David Robertson, we're giving you, I don't know how much you got from the White Sox, but a little bump above that. Are the players going to say no, or does this just not happen? Do those offers just not happen? Or because it just seems logical that if the Dodgers have identified these two guys, these are two guys we want, wouldn't you just do that in the first 20 minutes of free agency?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know why it happens. I mean, obviously
unless the players are just like, oh, you're giving me a $160 million offer. That's awesome. Let me shop around for another couple days. But then wouldn't you be worried that I don't even know what other starting pitchers really signed, but starting pitcher B would say, well, you offered John Lester 160, I'll sign for 140, and the Dodgers say, okay, cool, and then your offer's on the thing. You know what I mean? Like, but
it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen.
Well, and it's also worth noting that football has done a better job of protecting owners from themselves than anybody else. I mean, can you imagine what Jerry Jones would do without a salary cap? I mean, it would just be he would price everybody else. He'd price the Jaguars just literally out of the market. They wouldn't be able to compete for anything.
No question. There's no question about that at all. That's what has happened with baseball, and then we get people to trumpet that if the Kansas City Royals can make Game 7, anything can happen. When then the Boston Red Sox go and spend $80 billion on free agents the next offseason.
But come on, I mean, there is no NFL owner hurting for money, even in Jacksonville. If you think about how much money they have down there. It's all the revenue sharing. If someone wanted to go out and blow the water off, they could easily afford to. I mean, even a quote-unquote small market owner, small market like Seattle. Okay, Paul Allen owns the team.
And you make enough money just on TV alone that you should. If any NFL team is not doing well, much less losing money, but not doing well, you have mismanaged things beyond all recognition. I mean, you have really screwed things up if you're not making money in the NFL, because pretty much, I mean, look, the DirecTV alone should pay for your salary cap. I mean, that should pay the salaries of all your players. Like, and then not to mention, NBC and CBS and ESPN and all this. They make so much TV money. You could go a season without anybody showing up at your stadium, turn a profit.
It's crazy.
That's the new NFL business plan. Screw you, fans. We don't need you. We've got TV.
Let's move on to Week 15. Let's talk about our lock of the week, our upset of the week, and the game we pay to see. Lots of good stuff out there. I think we've got Johnny Manziel mania in Cincinnati as the Bengals come to town. Broncos with a big game at San Diego. Cowboys and Eagles in Philadelphia. And then, of course, the huge Saints-Bears. Oh, no, wait. That's been canceled.
That's an old
Texans and Colts I like too. So... let's start off with the upset of the week. Frank, what do you have out there that really kind of...
I'm going with the Chargers. I haven't even looked at the point spread yet. I haven't done my picks column yet, but I assume the Chargers are underdogs. But I think the Chargers' backs are against the wall. I think they're a good team, and I don't think the Broncos are quite right. I don't think Peyton Manning's right, and I know people don't like hearing that, but Peyton Manning hasn't been the same Peyton Manning last few weeks. Now even C.J. Anderson is dinged up. I just think that this Broncos team is built now over the last 3 weeks playing John Fox ball. They're going to try to keep it close, and I think if you keep games close, you're going to lose some of them. And I think the Chargers get them. They've always matched up well. They've always battled pretty well with them, and I think they need this game. And I think they pull off the upset over the Broncos.
Jay.
I am following in Kevin's esteemed footsteps and going with a hometown team, taking the Falcons over the Steelers. I think the Falcons have the ability to beat the Steelers, not only from pure ability in terms of Julio Jones, if he's able to go, and the rest of the team, but in terms of the fact that we just don't know which Steelers team will show up on any given week. The hysterical issue about this is the Falcons could win this game 57-0, and it still would not matter one bit in the playoff hunt. If they win or lose this one, it doesn't matter. It's all about the last two games for them trying to fight to win that division.
Yeah. I'm going to go, and I don't know if this is necessarily a huge upset, but I'm going to pick the Buccaneers over the Panthers. That game's at Carolina, but you've got Derek Anderson helming the Panthers in Cam Newton's absence. And I think the Buccaneers get it done because I think they feel like a 3-13 team, not a 2-14 team. And that'll put
They've got that whiff of a 3-13 about them.
Yeah, they do. So I'll pick Tampa Bay in Carolina, even though it may not qualify. I think it will happen.
I'm with you there. I like that pick.
All right, lock of the week.
I'm going. We could pick any number of different locks. There's a few. I mean, I'm not going to be lazy and go with like Ravens over Jaguars, but pretty much everyone's out of their survivor pools at this point, right, Kevin? So we could just. I think the lock of the week is the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that I agree with the Browns going with Johnny. I do, but this point spread is like moving like Johnny Manziel's the savior, and I think it's moved a couple points. I'm not quite sure about that, but I don't think Johnny Manziel's the savior. I think he's going to really struggle his first few games because he's not ready. Although I think it's the right move. I mean, I know it's kind of contradicting myself, but I think they need to try it. But I think the result is going to be that he makes some mistakes, he throws some picks, and this is not a bad Bengals team. And I think the Bengals win this game, and I don't think it's going to be overly pretty. I'm going to be watching. I'm really, really interested to see what Johnny does, but I don't think he saves the day. I think the Bengals get kind of an easy win here.
I'm taking Seattle over San Francisco. We saw how it went the last time these two teams met. San Francisco doesn't seem to have anything in the tank left. I think that it's going to be a complete blowout for Seattle. San Francisco's done after this week.
I'm just going to go easy and say Ravens over Jaguars. If you want me to pick somebody else, I'll pick the Eagles over the Cowboys. I think the Eagles rebound after that Seahawks loss. It's at home. It's on Sunday night. I think they get the job done against the Cowboys. They handled them pretty easily on Thanksgiving, and I think they'll do it again 2 weeks later. Game you pay to see. I think Frank is probably coughing up money to see Johnny Manziel, and you could probably set your price pretty high.
I also love that. I also love that Eagles Cowboys game because it is. We could talk about this in just a minute, but to steal the Bill Simmons line, it's a loser leaves town game. I mean, we're seeing the NFC right now that an 11-win team is going to get left out. I really think this is going to happen, and I think that 11-win team is a loser of this game, and that's why the stakes are so high for this game. You're literally talking about if you win this game, you might get a bye. If you lose this game, you might be out of the playoffs. It's nutty. But I still, I'm so into the whole Johnny thing that I'm so interested to see him. That's one I pay to see. But if I could somehow get from Cleveland to Philly by the late game, that's what I would do.
That's possible. I'm taking Jets-Titans because there's a decent chance that I might be able to play quarterback for either one of those teams. Get called down from the stands.
Would not pay to see this.
I'm kidding. I'm taking Broncos-Chargers. We talked earlier about the Broncos being in a bit of trouble. I want to see how they respond. I want to see how San Diego responds, and it's pretty in San Diego this time of year.
I just to be different. I think we'd all pay to see that Cowboys-Eagles game. That's pretty high up there. But I'd like to see the Packers at the Bills. Packers get out of Lambeau, get out on the road. Kind of seems like it has a little elements of a trap game for them.
I agree with that.
The Bills kind of last stab. I know they've got Kyle Orton, and things haven't gone that great for them. But why not? Let's see.
I think the Bills give them a heck of a game. I don't know if they can get it done, but I don't think the Packers are going to roll them by any means. They're not the same team on the road, and the Bills have a good defense. I think they match up reasonably well. I don't know if they could score enough to win, but I agree with you. I think that's a total trap game, and I think it's going to be very interesting.
Okay. The two other big games we haven't talked about are Texans-Colts and Dolphins at the Patriots.
Yeah, I may have been reading too many Miami-based articles and beat writers, but what's the consensus on Dolphins and Patriots? I think that Miami has a slight chance, but not a whole lot of one since it's in Foxborough.
Slight, very slight. They don't lose there. They're not going to lose there. They're the best team in football. I mean, if they could go in and beat San Diego like they did, I don't think Miami's coming into Foxborough and winning.
I don't think so either. Dolphins, another year without the playoffs, which is kind of sad because I keep on getting excited about them.
I think that's it for Philbin. If he doesn't make the playoffs with this team, I think they're just going to say, hey, it's just we need a change. We're going to go get Jim Harbaugh, or whatever they do. I think if Philbin doesn't make the playoffs, I think he's done.
They have to be probably one of the more frustrating teams in the NFL over the past 15 or 20 years because they've never been that bad. I guess they had the number one pick one time, but they've never been that good either. They're just kind of like a middling team, like the Texas Rangers were before the couple of World Series runs, right?
I agree. If you're a Dolphins fan, you're not quite the Jets fan who's just been stuck in horribleness for a long time, except for a little short run there with Sanchez.
It just seems to me like they should be a sleeping giant, right? I mean, obviously they're a little handcuffed by the stadium issue, and their fan base mostly sucks. We've gone on a length about how awful Florida fans are.
But no state income tax in Florida.
No state income tax. Like, how the hell are you not getting people to show up and play there?
Yeah, you should not have to overpay guys. Let's put it that way. Like, you should get your pick of the litter there. I agree. I think that should be a destination for teams. You're playing in the winter when it's 75 degrees instead of playing in Chicago when it's 10 degrees. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
By the way, can I bring this up? Yeah, because off of last night, I've been really thinking about this a lot. We got the Arizona Cardinals won last night. Phenomenal game. Bruce Arians, coach of the year. I think everybody agrees with that. Blah blah blah. They're in the playoffs. I think they're going to clinch, actually. As long as the Eagles and Cowboys don't tie, they clinch the playoffs. The Lions, they're probably going to go to 11 wins, too, by winning their next two before they go to Lambeau. The Eagles and Cowboys, both of those teams might get to 11, 12 wins. How is it going to look for the NFL in a few weeks when an 11-win team gets left out of the playoffs and a 6-win team gets in? And why are we not changing this? Are we so caught up with, well, that's the rules? Hey, that's what everybody says to me. Whenever I complain about that, that's the rules.
That's how everything's set up, right? That's how they laid things out.
Why can't we have a mechanism? Who's against having a mechanism just to get the best teams in the playoffs?
Like a mid-season one just to yank the lever mid-season? Because I think that this is such an extraordinary... There's only been one losing playoff team before, isn't it? The Cardinals.
We've had one losing playoff team before.
So it's not like this is going to happen all the
but why should it happen ever? Why should we be stuck with a 6-10 Falcons team or Saints team, whoever wins that Week 17 game? Why should we be stuck with a 6-10 team when the 11-5 Dallas Cowboys probably, I think, is a team that's in the most trouble if you look at everything. Why is the 11-5 Dallas Cowboys going to get left at home when the 6-10 New Orleans Saints are playing a playoff game and hosting a playoff game? I don't get why we're so against.
Where do you draw the line? Last year, the Packers got in at 8-7-1, and the Cardinals were left out at what 10-6. Would you have put the Cardinals in ahead of the Packers last year?
I wouldn't complain about it because the Cardinals won more games.
Like, so what do you do? Do you have that, like, maybe say the best 3 spots go to the best 3 division champions, then the next 3 spots are up for grabs?
I'm fine with that. I think that there needs to be some. I don't mind. The only do we not get rid of the divisions because of the rivalries? Is that it? I mean, is that because we need something to hold on to in division championships?
I forget what was the argument from going from 3 divisions to 4? That happened in 2002, I think.
I think that they wanted equal because they had
there was like 16 and 14 teams.
Think so yeah, and I think there was some geography involved there, and it was just easier for them. But I don't know that. Why would we be against just, hey, let's let the best 6 teams in from each conference? Why would we be against that? I don't know why we need to let a division champion at 8-7-1 or 6-10 or 7-9 with the Seahawks a few years ago. Why do we need to do that? Why can't we just let the best 6 teams in? Who's against this?
Well, that goes to the entire idea of divisions. I mean, why not do it English Premier League style where there's no playoffs, and at the end of the season, you're done. I mean, that's the divisions is
which is asinine, by the way.
I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you. But that the divisions is another way to create an additional layer of rivalry, an additional layer of intrigue late in the season.
I guess I just don't. The NFC South story to me has changed because I was all for it for a while, and it was funny, and it was humorous to crack jokes on Twitter about it. And now I just realize we're letting a really bad team in the playoffs, and it's kind of bothering me. It's like, why?
There's a good chance that Jay Busbee will be in attendance at the Georgia Dome to watch it.
Yes, it's gonna be so weird with like. The Lions are like 9-point favorites against the Falcons or whatever we're going to get. I don't even know what game it's going to be, but it's going to be a bad game. And then, God forbid, if the NFC South champ wins, because then you're just going to hear, well, look, they deserve to get in. They won a game. Like, well, no, they didn't. I'm totally for just revamping the playoffs at this point. Not expanding the playoffs because that makes the situation even worse, but just revamping it. Let's make sure the best teams get in. I don't really care about the divisional thing anymore. I just want January with the 12 best teams in football.
I think here's what we do. We set up a committee, and we have this committee pick the 4 best teams out of the NFL.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
The 4 biggest
which 4 would you pick? Which 4 would you pick right now?
I think it's pretty easy. I think it's I should say it's pretty easy.
The 4th one is going to be tough.
The 4th one, yeah, I think it's TCU. Nah, it's obviously Green Bay, Denver, New England, and I'd pick Seattle. I'd pick Seattle as my 4th.
Okay, so then you've got Philadelphia and Dallas
and Arizona are losing their mind on you.
Arizona, how do you? I mean, Ryan Lindley's going to be a starter the rest of the year. I don't know.
The Lions with the case.
Yeah, Lions got a case. Sure. Well, I mean, Lions have played good ball. They got quality wins. I mean, we're doing the NCAA thing.
You're going to leave the Colts out?
Over the Seahawks, I think the Seahawks. I hate to use the Jay Billis line, but they pass the eye test. They're a good football team right now. I think they're clearly one of the top 4 to me. Who do you guys disagree? Do you guys pick a different 4th? We all agree on top 3 guys.
Top 3. So, yeah, I mean it's tough to pick that 4th team, but that's why you're paid those big bucks for the committee, Frank. That you've been on for 40 seconds.
I'm the
now.
Barry Alvarez.
But I can see the committee looking at Denver and saying like, well, look at they've been kind of shaky. Frank Schwab doesn't like them a lot. Numbers don't bear out what they were at the beginning of the season. So you can see like the Broncos being left out in the college scenario, right?
Nah.
Or would they get on just because they're a blue blood right now?
Too good of a record, too much cachet. I don't see that.
The Ohio
State,
State of this scenario.
It'd be interesting if we did that, and thank God we don't.
How stupid is that? Like, college football playoff.
College football, yeah. But again, the NFL's screwing things up too by letting a 6-10 team in the playoffs. So whatever.
I don't think it's anywhere close, though.
I don't either.
We're talking about, yeah. You're not talking about.
It's going to be the Cowboys, by the way, and that's going to create such an incredible story because the Cowboys always move the needle. They just do. Yeah. And I have nothing for or against the Cowboys. I really don't care. I enjoy Jerry Jones tremendously, as I've said. but it's.
Do you think it's denying them a real opportunity to win the Super Bowl, though? And I'm not talking by definition opportunity, but is this a Super Bowl, a team that could get to the Super Bowl with?
I mean, the way they looked earlier in the season.
The way the NFL has kind of morphed in the last 6 years, I guess we call this almost like the 2007 Giants effect. Everybody has a chance in the NFL now. It's not like, back 20 years ago now, you needed to be a top 2 seed. But now it's like, yeah, the Ravens can go win a Super Bowl as a wild card, or the Giants can win a couple as a wild card, or the Packers can win as a wild card. And I think it's just changed to the point where every team who gets into playoffs, except the 2014 NFC South champ, should feel like, yes, we can win a Super Bowl. Why not? And the Dallas Cowboys they've won at Seattle. They haven't had a ton of quality wins, but I don't see why the Cowboys wouldn't think that 11-5 that they could go ahead and make a Super Bowl at least.
Good point. I don't think the Cowboys are a Super Bowl team. I don't think the Eagles are a Super Bowl team.
But I think Eagles could be. It depends on their seeding. I don't think they can go to Seattle and win or anything, or Green Bay and win. But if they got the right draw, I think they could do it. But I mean, we're looking at here's the Cowboys. The Cowboys play at Philly, and I think Philly's going to win just because they're at home and they match up well and all that. But then Dallas hosts Indianapolis, who really has nothing to play for. So I think they're going to win that game at home. And then they play at Washington. It's a total dumpster fire. We're looking at 11-5, and if you look at the tiebreaker stuff, they just don't have a lot of tiebreakers over anybody, except head-to-head against Seattle. So 11-5 is probably getting left out for them. It's coming. The train's going that way. I mean, we're going to see.
Seahawks, now, if the Seahawks somehow got left out for them, that would be an even bigger story.
That'd be a huge story too. The defending champs go 11-5 and don't get in, while the Falcons make it. It's telling you the whole 11-5 scenario is really almost like a probable at this point that some 11-5 team is getting left out of the playoffs because of the NFC South.
Yeah, the Cardinals managed to insulate themselves from being that team because
I thought they were going to be.
Because if they had been the team, there wouldn't be a whole lot. But if you got the Eagles, the Seahawks, or the Cowboys left out, you're in a lot of trouble.
Or the Lions could be too. I mean, I don't know tiebreaker wise, they're in pretty good shape, but I think that it's if you look at the schedules, if you look at what should happen the rest of the way, 11-5 might not make the playoffs in the NFC, and that's crazy.
Well, it'd probably be way far down on the list of bad headlines for the NFL in 2014. So. I think next week we should probably talk about our top NFL stories of 2014, not just the season, but the entire year. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Sure.
So, we didn't get to Texans-Colts, but real quick, who wins that game, Frank?
I think Colts. I just think they're good at home. They score a lot of points. Ryan Fitzpatrick on the road, I'm not really all that excited to get behind him.
Okay. All right, well, we will be back on Tuesday to talk about all the results of those games and look forward to Week 16. This has been the Shutdown Corner Podcast. I am Kevin Kaduk, here with Frank Schwab and Jay Busbee. We thank you for your time, and we will see you next week.